never been a big Jimmy Fallon fan. I always thought he was a talentless fool. I don't think he's funny. I think he's one of the worst late-night talk show hosts in the history of late-night talk show. I think Tom Green was better than him. I mean, I never found Fallon funny. I never thought he was a good actor. I never thought he was a good comedian. I didn't think he was good on Saturday Night Live. I just think the guy sucks. And he had a chance to get with Nicole Kidman. She came over his house, and he wussed out on that one, too. So, anyway, I thought I'd throw that one in there. But there's a new, I guess you could say, scandal, and it involves Jimmy Fallon. He played Blackface on an SNL skit. He was trying to do an impersonation of Chris Rock. Now, as you know, there have been some blackface scandals over the last few years, including Governor Ralph Northam. If you remember, a Democrat, he came under fire in early February after a conservative outlet reported a photo of two men, one in blackface, the other wearing a Ku Klux Klan outfit. Now, that's certainly worse than anything that Jimmy Fallon did.
That's much more over the top than having it as part of a skit, Brian.
But going back to this Jimmy Fallon situation is, again, I don't like Jimmy Fallon. I don't think he's talented at all. I don't think he's funny. But I guess, I want to play you a little bit of this audio that we have, and then we could respond to it afterwards. So this is the 2000 skit. So this happened 20 years ago. Wow. I was 20 years old. I wasn't even old enough to drink yet. But this is Jimmy Fallon, an SNL skit back in 2000. Have a listen to this.
Rock, now we're talking. Where is he? Man, oh man, read this book. I've seen Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, and guess what? Not a lot of black folks on the show. Right. Not a lot of black folks on the show. You know why? Because black folks don't like to answer questions. Oh, they want to be millionaires, but you got to ask that kind of questions like, in 1981, how many grams of crack did Rick James smoke when he recorded Super Freak? Regis, you think the only way to get a brother on the show is to name it Who Wants $50 cash and a pair of Pumas?
All right, so I'll give him credit. That was a pretty good impersonation of Chris Rock.
That was actually really good.
I'll give him, he's certainly not that funny on his late night talk show, that's for sure.
He sounded just like Chris Rock there.
So here's my opinion on this.
I'll give him credit.
And that was Daryl Hammond playing Regis Philbin.
Yep. So here's my opinion on this whole situation. Do I think Jimmy Fallon is a racist because he did this back in 2000? No. Do I think it was borderline inappropriate based on the times that we're living in, even back in 2000? Yes, I do. Do I think he deserves to be fired over this? No. So my question to you is, and to our listeners, what do you think about this skit that Jimmy Fallon did? What do you think about people in general that do the blackface or have done the blackface in the past? There are some people, some celebrities, I think, recently that dressed in blackface for Halloween, for example, and took a little flack for that. What do you think?
Well, Megyn Kelly was fired because she said that blackface wasn't that big of a deal.
From the same network.
From the exact same network that Jimmy Fallon is on.
Well, again, I'm not a big Megyn Kelly fan either. She apologized for that.
She's much more talented than Jimmy Fallon, although that was a great impression.
I think Megyn Kelly is better at her job than Jimmy Fallon is at his. I will agree with you on that. But you're right. Megyn Kelly also took flack for that. And by the way, she acknowledged that she was wrong, and she apologized.
And Justin Trudeau had a blackface.
Justin Trudeau is correct. Justin Trudeau also had a little scandal brewing with that as well. So here's my question to the listeners right now, and I'll open up the phone lines at 702-257-5396. What do you think should be the fallout, if any, when it comes to Jimmy Fallon wearing blackface, doing an impersonation of Chris Rock? Do you think that he should be fired? Do you think that he should be suspended? Or do you think nothing should happen at all? I've made my opinion very clear on this. I think it was inappropriate. I don't think he should be fired. He already apologized for it, which I think is good. And I think he should apologize for it again tonight on his show. And I don't think blackface should exist. I don't think people should be doing it.
He's apologizing 20 years later, which always bothers me.
Yes.
When this thing has been out there for 20 years. It aired on Saturday Night Live.
Right.
And did you hear, by the way, hear the gasps from the audience when he came out in that blackface? Yeah. But yeah, he's apologizing. In 2000, while on SNL, I made a terrible decision to impersonate Chris Rock while in blackface. There is no excuse for this. I'm very sorry for making this unquestionably offensive decision. Thank you all for holding me accountable.
Well,
and then I'm adding parentheses 20 years later.
Well, he doesn't mean it. He doesn't mean it.
Why didn't he apologize then?
Well, I'm going to tell you right now, he doesn't mean it.
People were gasping. You heard it.
What about Robert Downey Jr. in Tropic Thunder?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was inappropriate too.
He took a lot of
but
flack
that was
for that as
that
well.
was part of this. That was part of a movie. That he didn't choose to do that. Someone wrote that particular screenplay,
but he didn't have to do it.
And he happened to be the actor for that screenplay. The character he played was African American.
He knew when he read the script before he accepted the role that he was going to be doing it. So you have to own it. And I do not accept Jimmy Fallon's apology because it's 20 years later. Thank you for holding me accountable. Stein makes a very valid point.
Well, that's one of those apologies that strikes me as, please
forced.
don't fire me. I need my job. I want my job.
I don't think he's going to get fired. I think it's just more to his fan base, because his fan base is a little more left leaning than than someone else's fan base. But I don't think he is. I don't think he should be worried about losing his job. Although it is interesting the fact that Megyn Kelly on the same network did get canned for just mentioning or for downplaying blackface, and Jimmy Fallon actually did it. But again, this was part of an SNL skit, just like Robert Downey Jr. He was hired to play that role that somebody else wrote.
All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to open up the phone lines. What do you think about this? Do you think that Jimmy Fallon should be suspended or fired? What do you think about blackface in general? Do you think that it's okay for white people to paint themselves black and impersonate black people? Do you have a problem with that? And if you don't, tell us why. We'll take a quick break. We'll take your phone calls on the other side. Number to call, excuse me, 702-257-5396. Again, if you'd like to be a part of the program, 257-5396. Take a break. Be back right after this. You're listening to The Vegas Take right here on the all-new 101.5 FM 720 AM KDON. All right, welcome back. It is The Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. We're talking about blackface. We're talking about the latest blackface scandal that now includes Jimmy Fallon. I've never been a big Jimmy Fallon fan, but back in 2000, a video has surfaced of him impersonating Chris Rock, painting his face black, doing blackface. He recently has apologized for it. Do you think he should be suspended? Do you think he should be fired? Do you think white people should be able to dress as black, paint their faces black and do blackface? Do you have an issue with that? We've had a lot of people in the past that have taken a lot of slack and a lot of heat for doing this. We're taking your phone calls. 702-257-5396. Again, that number, 257-5396, if you want to join the conversation. Let's start off with Don. Don, thanks for calling into the Vegas Take. What's on your mind?
Hey, what's up, Don?
Now, as far as Jimmy Fallon, the question was, do I believe that he should be reprimanded or fired? Absolutely not. That's
right.
Simply that's an opinion on mine, and I can elaborate on that. If we can, let's go back years ago to the movie White Chicks.
Right.
Okay. Well, who dressed up as white chicks?
Yep. Well, you're right. Let me add something to that. It's a good point. We had Marlon Wayans on the show, and if you remember, sir, those were the Wayans brothers. We actually had Marlon Wayans on the show a few months ago, and I asked him that very question. I said, in the times that we're living in right now, do you think it'd be appropriate to dress up as white chicks? And he said, yeah, I would have no problem doing it again. Let me be very fair on this issue, and you bring up a good point. I think it is just as inappropriate somebody who is black to dress up as a white face. I think it goes both ways. I think we need to be consistent on this. And I think there are many other ways to make people laugh other than this. Clearly, it's offensive to some people. If it's offensive to black people when white people do blackface, then it should be just as offensive when it's the other way around. So I take your point. Point well taken.
I actually thought the White Chicks was a pretty funny movie.
I 100% agree with you.
I thought it was very comedic.
Go ahead. At the same time, having a movie come out that was obviously it's a pretty big hit. It was a big hit because, and me being a Caucasian male, I thought it was very, very funny. So
I wasn't offended.
No, it was very funny.
Listen, make no mistake about it, sir. I wasn't offended by it. I'm not offended by blackface. I'm not offended by whiteface. I'm just saying if we're going to call out blackface, or if African Americans are going to do that, you make a valid point. I think they also need to call out the other way around.
Well, I think there has to be, for at least for me, and again, I'm not African American, but for me to think it's really an overly offensive thing, there has to be a situation like the Ralph Northam, where you've got the blackface and the Ku Klux Klan. When all that together, but I think just emulating a different race on on an entertainment setting, as long as it isn't totally defamatory towards that race, I have no issue with that whatsoever.
Number to call, 702-257-5396. Let's go to Shannon. Shannon, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Shannon?
Hey, good morning, guys. Hey, first time I've called. I've been listening to you guys about 3 months. I just want to come in first. Say you guys do a great job, JD, Brian, and Chris, man.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
Y'all bring forward.
Hey, thanks a lot, Shannon.
I'm a black guy myself, man, and personally, I don't have a problem with blackface. You know, it's like I say, the Wayans brothers, they played white chicks. They played two white girls and white chicks, man, and it was a funny little comedy. And you know, what Jimmy Fallon did was kind of, you know, it was funny because he pegged Chris Rock right on. You know,
yeah, it was a great impression.
You know, all right, you know, if you use a derogatory, you know, or trying to be offensive towards somebody, I think that's a problem. I think just, you know, just
I totally agree.
Or whatever, you know, it's totally cool, man.
Yeah, I think it's all about the context of how it's used.
And that's fair. I think. Listen, I think I'm with you in this sense. I'm not offended either way. I wasn't offended by White Chicks. I thought it was a very funny movie. I like Marlon Wayans. But I am offended by what Ralph Northam did. And here's why. I'm offended with what he did because he is in a picture with a Klan member. There is nothing, you know, even if the guy wasn't in the Klan, he was dressed up as a KKK guy. I have a huge problem with that. There is a fine distinction, and I think we'll agree on this. There's a fine distinction between what Jimmy Fallon did, doing a Chris Rock impersonation, and somebody that is dressed up as blackface next to a Klan member. That there is a distinction there.
What if Jimmy Fallon did a really poor Chris Rock impersonation?
That has nothing to do with it.
Blackface.
Nothing to do with it. 702.
Could he not have done the imitation without the blackface? Could he just dressed up like Chris
Yes,
Rock?
he could have.
Well,
yes.
he could have worn a mask, I guess, a Chris Rock mask.
Listen, all I'm trying to say here is the fine line.
Is that okay?
Guys,
Do they sell a Chris Rock mask?
I'm sure they could probably make one.
All I'm saying is
SNL could get hold of it.
there is a fine distinction that we need to distinguish here between Ralph Northam and what he did with a Klan member, you know, dressed up
exactly,
and what Jimmy Fallon did.
And what about Tom Cruise in The Last Samurai?
The same thing. 702-257-5396 is the number to call. Let's go to Kurt. Kurt, you're next up on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Kurt?
Kurt, are you there, my friend? Did we lose Kurt? We did. Okay, 702-257-5396. Maybe he was putting on his blackface. I don't know. I guess that's possible. I don't know. I guess that's possible. Look, let's be clear here, ladies and gentlemen. Let's be very clear here. You know when someone's being racist and when they're not being racist. What Ralph Northam did, I don't care whether he's a Democrat or Republican. I don't care. What he did was racist. Now, why was it racist? I try to make it very clear here. He's standing next to someone dressed up in a Klan outfit. That screams racism. Megyn Kelly was ignorant to the fact that there are some people out there that are offended when someone wears blackface in the wrong situation. She was wrong. She apologized for it. What I don't like is when Jimmy Fallon says how sorry he is 20 years later when I don't think he's sorry at all.
I would actually argue that Jimmy Fallon should not have apologized at all. He should have said, I did a great impression of Chris Rock. It was part of a skit, and at that particular time, the plan was for me to dress up like Chris Rock, and that's exactly what I did. I wanted to be authentic in the way that I did it. Because, again,
sure, he had pressure to apologize.
He was not being racist at all, in my opinion. And you're right. Ralph Northam was clearly being racist. I mean, next to someone who was wearing what symbolizes one of the most racist organizations on the planet Earth, the Ku Klux Klan.
What is going through your mind when you take a picture with someone who is dressed up in a Klan outfit? I don't understand. What is going through your mind when you do something like that? You have to be racist.
He should not be in office, in my opinion.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of people that shouldn't be in office. I don't think Donald Trump should be in office either for a lot of different reasons.
You know, if Donald Trump was ever caught in a situation, and I'm on record saying this now, where he was in blackface, standing next to anyone in a Klan outfit, I would say the exact same thing. But he has not been in that situation. So I don't appreciate you comparing Donald Trump to Ralph Northam under those circumstances, because it's not even close to the same thing, Brian.
I would say
you can say he's a racist, you can say he's a Nazi, but Ralph Northam was, and he's still the governor of Virginia, by the way, but Ralph Northam was literally in blackface, standing next to somebody wearing a Ku Klux Klan outfit.
And if you want to compare it to Megyn Kelly, which is probably the better comparison,
right,
just simply because it's more recent. She was on NBC, the same network where it happened. You could argue there was a lot of things that were leading up to her dismissal, and possibly a big part of it was ratings and some other things that she said that people at NBC found objectionable. I don't know, going back on that situation, that it was just her ignorance on blackface that led to her firing. It was a culmination of things.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
All right. Well, I would simply point out, and I think it's fair to point this out, by the way, that I believe Donald Trump has done and said some pretty racist things in the past. I mean, he launched his campaign back in 2015 by calling Mexican immigrants rapists or bringing crime and bringing drugs. As a candidate in 2015, he called for a ban on Muslim. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish.
He was referring to MS-13.
Please let me finish. He called for a ban on all Muslims coming into the U.S. Back in 2016, during a Republican debate, he was asked whether 1.6 billion Muslims hate the U.S. Trump said, I mean a lot of them. I mean a lot of them. That's what he said. He also argued back in 2016 about Judge Gonzalo Curiel. Do you remember this? Who was overseeing the Trump University lawsuit. He said he should recuse himself from the case because of his Mexican heritage, even though he was born in the United States. Now, if that's not racism, I don't know what is. I mean, I could go on and on. Back in 2010, there was a huge national controversy over Ground Zero Mosque, a proposal to build a Muslim community center, in Lower Manhattan. And he said, well, somebody's blowing us up. Somebody's blowing up the buildings, and somebody's doing lots of bad stuff. Back in 2011, Trump played a big role in pushing false rumors that Obama wasn't born in this country. And in 2011, he also suggested that Obama wasn't born in the U.S. He argued that maybe Obama wasn't a good enough student to have gotten into Columbia or Harvard Law School.
Are you trying to prove that Donald Trump is a racist? Is that what you're trying to do right
now? What I'm proving to you right now is that he has a history of making racist remarks. Let's go back to the phone lines. It's 702-257-5396. Let's go to Arnold. Arnold, you're next on the Vegas Take.
Hey, what's up, Arnold?
Hey, how's it going? I was sitting here listening to this debate about the blackface thing, and I don't know if has anybody ever watched David Chappelle's show? That guy constantly did skits about white people. He would dress with white paint.
Yes, he did.
And he actually had one that was really funny. It was the racial draft. So I didn't find it offensive.
I remember.
I thought it was
listen, I'm with you. Make no mistake about it. I'm with you. I'm not offended by any of this stuff. I am offended with what Ralph Northam did because we have to distinguish. He was taking a picture next to a guy dressed in a Klan outfit. There are different levels here, right? What you are saying,
I agree there.
Yeah. Listen, I don't have a problem with what Jimmy Fallon did. It didn't offend me. I don't have a problem with what Dave Chappelle did. He's a very talented comedian. All I'm simply saying is this. There are different levels to it. And if some African-American is going to call out Jimmy Fallon for the blackface, then you better call out Dave Chappelle. That's all I'm saying.
I totally agree, but I didn't have a problem with it. I thought it was hilarious.
I hear you, man. I hear you. Neither did I. Appreciate the call, my friend. That's a very Dave Chappelle's a genius, by the way.
Comedian Sarah Silverman said she was once fired from a movie after producers found a sketch from 2007 in which she wore blackface makeup on her show, the Sarah Silverman program. Wish you should ask our next guest, Mark Cohen, about that because he has worked with Sarah Silverman.
Oh, good. Yeah, he's coming up next segment. Let's go back to the phone lines at 257-5396. Let's go to Anthony. Anthony, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Anthony?
Hey, guys. Hey, how you doing? I was telling your screener, I'm about to sue you guys. I'm on the way back from the hospital, right? And so I was just reviewing patients' medical records. And Brian, when you said that you're going to use that check to support Joe Biden, almost crashed. That was absolutely great. I mean, perfect timing. I know, JD, you had to laugh at that because that was the best.
Hey, I'm serious. That guy who calls into our show, he's a dope. His name is Brady. I don't know what his last name is. Maybe Brady Klansman. I don't know. But Brady called into the show, and I made a bet with him. I said Schiff will not be in jail by June 1st. This was 6 months ago. Obviously, he's wrong. I knew he was an easy bet, and I will donate that money to the Democratic Party in the state of Nevada, or Joe Biden, or both. I'll split it up $50 each.
Hey,
awesome,
by the
great line.
Yes.
I'm serious. I almost crashed. I almost had an accident. That was just too funny.
Don't get into an accident. I don't want to be responsible for that. Go ahead, my friend. What's on your mind? Did we lose you? I hope you didn't crash.
Yeah, I think he's gone.
I hope you didn't get into a car accident. That'd be horrible. Go ahead, JD. What did you want to
Well, yeah, so just came out that Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Fry has called for charges against the city police officer who held down George Floyd with a knee on his neck until the man appeared to lose consciousness.
I think that's inevitable.
Yeah, I think
that will happen.
He at a minimum, he's looking at manslaughter. He might get murder one for this. It's
all
possible.
right. We'll continue to cover the story all week. Let's go to Steve. Steve, you're next up on the Vegas Take. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, Steve?
Steve, did we lose you? Boy, our phone. Oh, there you go. All right, Steve, what's going on?
Hey, Hi, guys. First of all, I greatly appreciate the show. I've told many of my friends, and I just mentioned to Sean, why don't you guys have a meet and greet? That would be a blast. And now I'd like to answer your question.
Because I'd have to wear
in this kitchen,
Steve. Because I'd have to wear a bulletproof vest. That's why.
No. I guess
There might be some truth to that.
Brian. Don't worry about it.
Well, I appreciate that, Steve. Eventually, we will do that. We did it about a year ago, and once all this coronavirus nonsense is over with, I promise you, my friend, I will have 8x10 photos getting ready to sign them for everybody that shows up.
You don't want listeners traipsing in and out of your bathroom.
That's true. Steve, what's on your mind, my friend?
This is the worst circumstances ever for that right now, Steve.
Yes. What's going on, Steve?
Guys?
Sure.
As far as the blackface thing, I'm Italian. 98% of my friends are not. I like people from all over the world, every country. You have to take things. Look, I'm Italian. People tell me Italian jokes. They say, "What's the 3 times in an Italian's life his name is in the newspaper? When he's born, married, and gets the death sentence." It doesn't bother me. So you have to. Every race, every nationality, every ethnic group, there's going to be certain things. The thing is, Brian, what magnitude do you push it to? That's the important thing.
Yeah.
So I think that's something to keep in perspective. Hey, Brian.
Well, like what you said. Sure, quickly. Go ahead. Go ahead, Steve.
Can I ask you
Quickly.
a question? If I tell you a respectful Jewish joke, would that be okay? Is it okay if it's a respectful one? Is that okay?
Only if it's funny.
If I joke about Jewish women, is that all right? I'll make it.
Only if it's funny. Quickly. Go ahead.
Okay. A lot of Jewish women don't enjoy sex. That's not true. I know one who had multiple orgasms. 2 in her first marriage, 2 in her second marriage.
Okay, that's pretty funny.
That's offensive.
You guys.
I am so offended by that. No, that was actually a funny joke. That was good.
Just because Jason's married, that's why
I
he's
like
offended.
that. I like that. It was a funny
That was
joke.
a very good one.
That was good.
I'm not
Thank
going
you,
to
Steve.
confirm or deny if that's true.
but that's why Brian only dates
It's not true.
women of a specific ethnicity.
It's not true. It's not true.
Only.
It's not true. It's not true at all. I respectfully disagree. Respectfully disagree. It's not true. I need a mix of a woman that is 5% Afghanistan, 5% Indian, 5% Asian, 5% white, 5% Jewish, 5% black. The list goes on and on. So yes, I agree. I need a mix of 20 or 30 different ethnicities. That's what I need. Yes.
You just want a hybrid. Okay, that's fair.
Well, I mean, I just don't want to be in marriages that you two guys are in. That's all. Is that going too far? I don't know. I want to be happy.
Good luck with that.
Is that a cheap shot?
Do I look not happy to you, Brian?
You guys seem very happy every day.
Do I seriously look unhappy to you right now?
You guys are happy, joy every day, although you guys argued for 45 minutes this morning before the show.
Brian's going to be the only person in the history of the world with a happy marriage. That's it, all right?
No, I'm happy because I'm not married. You see the
Actually,
difference?
Stein and I argued for like 4 minutes before the show.
Fair enough. All right.
It wasn't even a big